The Shepnaz Podcast begins now.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Shepnaz Podcast. I am your host and your friend, Pastor Zack here. So excited to have you on the podcast today. Hey, you're probably wondering, if you've watched us for a while, what in the world am I seeing? What in the world is happening? We are not at Shepherd. We took the podcast on the road.
On the road, baby.
We're going global, baby. Welcome. Well, if you are wondering, we are actually at 2026 South Central Ohio Kids Camp right now.
Yep.
And we are so excited to be here. And I am blessed to have my good friends, Pastor Jen and Pastor Kim, here with me right now. We're having so much fun. And yeah, wanted to just have a chat with you guys, man, because I kind of had this idea going into this, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to kids camp. I still have a job. I still have things I need to accomplish. So let's bring this thing on the road. And I knew I wanted to talk to you guys already, just because one, I love both of you, and I love just getting to hang out and talk with you. And but it was even more confirmed last night when, after our leader meeting, right? And you guys were having conversation, and I just came up to ask about what time we were going to do this.
Yeah.
In the middle of the conversation I wanted to have on this podcast, right? So we'll go into more detail later, but just to preface it, you two love kids. You've been doing kids ministry for a very long time.
Yeah.
You
More
guys
than
have
2 decades. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
I love it. So you've been doing this camp again. We'll get details later here, but you've been doing it for so long because of your passion for it, and hearing the passion in the conversation that you guys were having last night showed me that this is something we need to be talking more about. Mm-hmm. Kids ministry is so important. It's not a secondary thought. It's not babysitting during church.
Yep.
No.
You guys are literally training the future right now.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to dig more into it, man, because that's not something it's not my world. I'm learning it because I have kids now.
Yeah, you're a dad.
Yeah, exactly. And so hearing both of you speaking over this week so far, and just the way that you communicate this stuff to kids is so amazing. So I'm so excited. Buckle up. It's about to get wild. I love it.
Also, can we just preface this by saying it is pouring down rain at camp today?
We're normally cuter.
Yeah, we are. We're not usually in raincoats and fall caps. And, right.
I'm a very bad information sharer, and so I forgot to let you guys know that this was on video too.
It's cool. It's cool. Just take us as we are.
It's great.
Camp Kim, Camp Jen. Here we go.
Right.
I was going to say.
We're actually at our best when we're here. So
Right. It's great. I love it. Well, let's do this. Kim, we'll start with you. Give us a brief kind of history of where you've been doing ministry, what you're doing now.
Okay.
And just kind of take us through a quick walk through that.
Okay. Well, I have spent all of my ministry years in kids ministry. I was on staff at Grove City Naz for 7 years, and then at Grace Life in New Albany for, I don't even know, 17, 16? A long time.
Many moons.
Yeah. And about 5 years ago, I felt like the Lord was prompting me to take a step back and focus on my family, and put some of that energy into ministering in the community. And so that has led me down a completely unexpected path. I started my own business, and I give horseback riding lessons, and I have 29 students in my program right now that I get to love on and pray for and do life with. And the kingdom impact in that is way more significant than I ever believed it could be.
Right.
And the blessing of that on top of all the other things is that this week I have campers here with me who are in my riding program, and I get to say, hey, why don't you come to church camp with us?
That's huge.
Yeah. And then
We added Stag's Bend, which is the name of her farm and her business. We added that as a ministry in our options for campers,
awesome.
because it is a ministry.
Yeah.
And
It
so
is.
she's brought kids and counselors. So it's really exciting to see what God's done.
Yeah, it
That
is.
is huge.
Yeah. So I went from being like a normal church pastor to now being like a cowboy pastor, I think.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Tell them what you said about what the amount of legs your parishioners have.
Oh, yes. Most of my parishioners are quadrupeds, which means have 4 legs instead of 2. So yeah,
Nice.
it is. It's been an interesting transition, but God is so good.
Yeah.
And in this season of my life, my kids are first, my family is first, and it's so easy when you do the Lord's work to allow the church to be first.
Yep.
And it is incredibly important, but if my home life isn't
Right.
my priority, then I'm not doing what God really called me to do. So
100%. And I think that is a huge note to really highlight, like for people watching that are like in ministry or considering ministry.
Yeah.
I was guilty of it. I got burnt out because of it.
Yeah.
You know, I was, long story short, you know, when I was in my first assignment at Grove City, I had my first child there.
Yeah.
And I remember that moment where we were celebrating her first birthday and people were sharing all these stories and stuff. And I like had to sneak away and cry because it's like, I missed like so much
Yeah.
of the first year of my kid's
Yeah, it
life
shouldn't
because I
be
was
like
busy
that.
doing church.
Yep.
And it totally made me shift ministry
Yeah.
and focus.
Yeah.
And so I think it's super important, like family first.
Yeah,
That is,
absolutely.
if you are married, if you have kids, like your house is your first ministry. Because if that's not in place, I don't think anything
Yeah.
else falls into place too.
it's true.
So amazing. Well, Jen,
Yeah.
tell us your story, my friend.
Yeah, so I've been in ministry for 24 years now, and my first love is kidsmen. It always has been, and but my ministry experience has kind of shifted, and I've been served as a family ministry pastor. I've been interim lead pastor for a couple different stints, but. And then all along the way, I've also been an adjunct professor at Mount Vernon Nazarene University. And so in 2020, I switched from being full-time pastor to part-time professor, switched, and I'm full-time professor at Mount Vernon and part-time in the local church. But I'm the children's pastor at Newark.
Yep.
And I've been at that church for 19 years. We just celebrated 19 years in June.
awesome.
So
and
wild.
so that's how I know this guy, Pastor Zack.
Yes. So Jen and I may be doing a separate episode later this week where we dig into a little deeper of our history, but I've known Jen for a long time. And what I love about Jen, one, because she brought people like Kim into my life and opened up this whole new world to me of ministry. And like, you are one of the people that really opened the door to show me what like real ministry looks like and loving people where they're at. And again, we'll get into this later, but you know, I knew Jen when I was, you've heard this 1,000 times on the podcast, but my story of when I was an addict and making really bad life choices that like I came into Jen's life in that season. And so like when I say that there were people praying for me that led me to where I'm at, like Jen is one of those people. And so one, I love you and I appreciate you.
I love you too, buddy.
But we've known each other a long time. I'm glad we're on this side of the story now. But I love it. So let's dig into that conversation we were having last night, because I think it's pretty, I think it happens more often than not, and far more than it ever should, that people look at children's ministry as Sunday daycare.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so much more than that.
Yes.
So could you guys maybe briefly explain like what made you fall in love with it and where the passion for it really comes from for you guys?
For kids ministry?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. My love for kids runs deep. It always has.
I think one thing before I say that, I want to just say, like, for the Church of the Nazarene in particular, or I just was having this conversation at NYC. I had the privilege of going there too, but NYI, which is the Nazarene Youth International, right? That's been around. They celebrated 100 years at the last General Assembly, right? So they've had their own arm, a branch of the General Church, which they should, right? Celebrating youth. But for 100 years, they've had their own branch, their own arm of the church, right?
That's amazing.
Children's ministry still does not.
Yeah.
Right.
Children's ministries is under Sunday school, and which we love, right? We believe in discipleship and DI, and we're so proud to be a part of that ministry. But it is that, like, and Trey Brooks is now having a seat at the table, and that kids' seat has been empty for a long time. And so I really think this conversation is important, because I don't think, like, everyone says they care about kids.
Yep.
And churches know that if you don't have kids in your church is going to die, right?
Yeah.
It can't exist without young people to
Right.
grow up and be a part of it. And so everyone knows kids matter, but it's something different to actually do something about that, or to be willing to make space for kids, or for the voices who want to advocate for children.
Yeah.
That's something different.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that before. Clearly we're passionate about it, but like, please others be passionate too. Like, please help us to like speak this and to say, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. 100%. Well, I know, like, Oh man, I could get on a soapbox right now, but I want to interview you.
We could too.
Yeah. Like I would just say this, I didn't grow up in the Nazarene church. I came in when I met you, Jen. Like Newark Naz when I was 16, 17, whatever it was like my introduction to the Nazarene church. Knew nothing about it.
Right.
And I don't want to say this. I'm going to step on some toes. So sorry. I see this thing God's doing in the Church of the Nazarene right now. And maybe it's just me. I don't think it is. But for the longest time, like one of the things I noticed when I came into the Nazarene church is there was a lot of nostalgia. Like if everybody was holding on to this quote unquote, like the good old days situation.
The past, not the future.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the past.
Yeah.
But when I look at scripture and when I look at like the way God has been kind of helping me articulate this, it's when I look at scripture, when God did amazing things, he had people build altars to remember it.
Yeah.
But then they didn't just stand around and stare at that altar.
Right. They didn't stay there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm seeing this shift in the Nazarene church where, if I'm being honest, I felt like there was a lot of times we were standing around an altar remembering not too much remembering, but living in what God used to do.
Yeah.
And that there is no future past what this is. And I'm starting to see this shift now where people are getting excited about what the future could look like. And that scares some people.
Yeah.
But the reality is...
because it's uncomfortable,
Exactly.
Zach. And we know what's around that altar.
Right.
Because we've been there and we've experienced it, but we don't know what the future holds.
Exactly.
And that feels, I think it feels scary.
Yeah. But it's time to pass the torch.
Yeah.
It's time to let God do a new thing.
Yes, it is.
And I believe he'll really take this church to a whole new level when we let him.
Yep.
So obviously you guys are passionate about it and I love it. So what started this passion? Like where did it even come from? Like, is it something that's always been there? Was there a moment that you felt like this is what I need to do? What did that look like?
You want to go first or you want me to?
You can.
Okay. For me, I always served in the local church. From the time I was in 5th grade, I used to serve snack on the snack cart to the preschoolers. Yep, I can remember that.
That is a big job and a big
Chesterfield,
deal.
Virginia. Yep. And so like serving was just part of my DNA. Like it made me feel like I belonged in the church.
Right.
It gave me a space. And so as I got older, I was in high school and then even in college, I served in our kids ministries under Mark Hale at Grove City Naz. And I loved it, but I never considered that as a future. I think
Like
as
a job.
Yeah, as a job. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even though we had we had a great children's pastor in our church in Virginia and then Mark Hale in Grove City. And I saw that modeled and I watched that, but it was never part of my story except to say like, oh yeah, I'm on that team. I get to love kids and do this and do that, whatever. But I went to Olivet and came home from Olivet with a degree in communication and a focus in radio broadcasting. And I was looking for jobs in Columbus in PR, and I like Buckeye Boys Ranch, and I had an incredible job opportunity at COSI. And the job was to be an outreach demonstrator in the schools, like in elementary schools. And I would drive this big truck and show up and basically be like Bill Nye the Science Guy. And if you know me at all, you know,
doing that so much.
Science geeks me out. And I love teaching kids and blowing stuff up. And like it's for Jesus. Just
For all in Jesus'
let me
name.
clarify that, right? Like not just
Explosions for the Lord. It's great.
Right. So anyways, I was super pumped about the job and I just felt really unsettled in my heart. And I was just really seeking the Lord's direction because I was like, okay, Lord, this is big. This is like adult decisions.
Right.
And I really, really wanted to take the job. They offered it to me and I was praying and I won't ever forget. I was sitting against a little twin bed in my bedroom with my Bible open. And I had just been reading scripture and just really seeking the Lord. And I was like, Lord, it was like a legit back and forth. Lord, I really want to do this. And I felt like the Lord said, Kim, this is not what I have for you. And it's one of the few times in my life I really felt like the Lord audibly spoke to me. And it was just that, like, this is not what I have for you. And my pushback was, but Lord, I really am excited about the potential of working with and teaching children.
Yeah.
And it was that same, that this is not what I have for you. And when I say like, it wasn't even 24 hours. I turned down the job at COSI. It was my only prospect.
Oh, wow.
I was waiting tables at Bob Evans. And I was like, okay, well, back to the drawing board, I guess. So I was living at home with my parents. I came home from running errands for my mom that day, and the wall phone was ringing in the house.
Yes.
I was coming in the door with my arms full of groceries. I had gone to the grocery store for my mom, and I did one of those phone answers where your hands are all full. And I was like, hello. And it was Mark Hale, who was our kids pastor at Grove City Naz. And he said to me, hey, Kim, how you doing? It's Mark. And I was like, hey, Mark, great to hear from you. What's up? And he said, the words he said to me are still so clear in my mind and my heart. He said, have you ever thought about working with kids?
Wow.
And it was a phone call out of the blue. And I said, Mark, is so bizarre that you say that. And I mean, and there was that moment that the Lord said to me, this is what I have for you. And he said, I've been praying about who to hire as our assistant kids pastor here at Grove City Naz. And I've been praying about it for 8 months, 6 months, long time. And over as I've prayed, the Lord has brought your mind and your picture to my head. And he said, I've been having a back and forth with the Lord about, no, she's pursuing a degree in communications.
Right.
No, she's going into radio. She's going to be a broadcaster. She's going to do PR. Like, we'd had conversations about it. And he knew that that's the direction I wanted to go.
Right.
And the Lord had some work to do in me. And his timing was perfect. And I literally got a phone call into full-time ministry. That was
amazing.
it. I went in the next day.
literal call.
Sometimes a call is a literal.
It was literal, right? Like, it was, and I've laughed about that part of my story 100 times, but that moment, he said, well, why don't you just come in and meet with me tomorrow? I literally went to the church the next day. I can remember the dress I put on. It was a little white sundress with red flowers on it. I went into their office and he was like, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think about that? And I was like, I think it sounds like the Lord is doing something. I met with the church board that night, literally that night. They hired me on the spot and I started the following Monday.
Wow.
With no computer and no ministry training. But I firmly believe that God doesn't always call the equipped, but he does equip the call.
100%.
And Mark was an amazing mentor to me and a shepherd in my early years of ministry. And then he moved on and the church moved me into a lead kids pastor position. And in that ministry, I had 600 kids under my care and a full-time staff. And and I was in my early 20s, and there's no reason that God should have offered that opportunity to me. I didn't know who I was in those things, except I knew that God called me and what he called me to.
That's awesome.
So that's how I got my call into ministry. And I believe that the Lord has then equipped me, and used that degree 100 times over. That degree that for a long time I was like, well, this is now useless to me.
Right. Yep.
But it gave me great communication skills and the ability to write well and
do podcasts.
And do podcasts just like this in my raincoat with my coffee.
Full circle
Moments. Yes.
That's amazing.
But it is, and I think so many times we think in order to be in ministry, we have to have all of our ducks in a row.
Right.
And I think I'm a really prime example of that. And then I went to school and got theology training and, the things that were important to fulfill the rest of that call. But I think if you're sitting there today listening and you think, well, God can't use me because that's not, I think I'm living proof of that God can. And I think there are people in this world who would love to say, step alongside me, brother, step alongside me, sister, and I'll pour into you, because that shepherding and mentoring early in my ministry gave me the confidence to lead God's people in a way that I would not have had as a 20-something.
Right.
And so I'm thankful I've been able to step into that role for others through the years. And that's something I'm really passionate about is raising up the next generation of leaders and investing in them and equipping them and saying, you can do this, even when it's hard. You can do this. You can learn from mistakes. You can grow and you can move forward in that. So
100%. That's awesome. I love it. Jen?
Yeah. So from the time I was real young, I knew I loved kids. I loved working with kids. I shared last night when I spoke about, I remember one year I got a whole teacher set for Christmas with including red pens that I could grade.
The envy of all the girls.
Yeah, it was a great pretend teacher. And so I from the time I was little, I actually really did. I was around kids. I babysat real early. I just was involved in that and loved serving at church with kids. And so I went to college to be a teacher, and that's actually my degree is in education. And I actually was going to be a high school English teacher. Like I was serving with kids, but I felt called to teenagers. And I think that's a part of what I think is so beautiful. Like every call is different.
Yeah.
Right.
And even for my own, like kids and children's ministry, which I'll tell that part in just a moment. Like it's my first love, but part of my call is to see the people in front of me, whether it's children or teenagers or college students or adults, and to teach and to communicate like whatever they need. And I recognize that that's part of my gifting and part of my calling. But so I went to school to be a teacher, and it was like Kim's experience, but when I had Brooklyn, my husband had just right out of college got hired as a principal of a Christian school, which God bless them. I don't know why
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's
I was praying. That's a different story, but I was praying for the people because my husband is a raging introvert,
Right. Yes.
truly.
Raging.
And I was praying that the person who interviewed him would like see, like really hear him and see him.
Yeah.
And on his way home, he called me on a big box car phone and was like, Jen, I didn't get the teaching job I went for. I'm like, oh, that's okay. And he was like, no, they hired me as the principal. I'm like, why? they shouldn't have.
Right.
Okay. Well, they listened too much to you. Okay. I'll tone back the prayers.
Right.
Anyway, so we had moved for David, and he was the principal of this school, and I was very pregnant with Brooklyn. So I couldn't get hired at the time. So I was a stay-at-home mom for just a few months and really praying like what I could do or how God could use me in that area, and didn't look like the local schools was going to happen. And our local pastor said, Jen, have you ever considered being a children's pastor? And I said, do you get paid for that? Like, is
Right.
that, I honestly, I'd
Right.
never seen a full-time children's pastor before.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it could actually be a job. And I just said, well, let me talk to my husband about it. And we were talking. And the more I talked to David and the more I prayed about it, I was like, no, I think I would really like that. And as soon as I started, it was like, this is what I was created to do.
Yeah.
It took everything.
Did you take your red pens with you?
I sure did.
Yeah,
and
girl.
I also got colored pens.
That's right.
Hey.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And so it was like everything, all of those dreams came together. And I guess even part of Kim's story, I think that's a challenge for pastors who are listening. Like, I think people, they're waiting oftentimes that God uses us to create opportunities for others to step into their calling. Like they don't even know what it could look like. And part of our shepherding should be come alongside with me. Like, why don't you try this? Well, I see this gift in you. I
Yes.
wonder how the Lord could use that. So
Right.
for me, it's been kids all along. Like I said, my journey has kind of shifted, but I always come back to like to serve. When it comes to serving, it comes to local church. I always see kids first and see the ways that God has something so incredibly important for them. And I often say kids are the best theologians.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they just need people to listen and to see that in them to allow them to have those kinds of conversations.
100%. That's so good. All right. I have two more questions, then we'll wrap it up. So I'd say probably the more serious one. So we've talked about this is an important thing, right? This is something that we want to see the church, Big C Church, just explode with more love for kids ministry.
Yeah.
So as leaders who've been doing this for a long time, what can we do? What can the church do? What can people listening do to help, really foster the mission of kids ministry?
That's a big question.
I know.
So many things. You can do so many. I mean, if we're just talking practically, right? You can legitimately make physical space for them. And in making space for them, this goes back to our conversation last night, is that kids are loud and they're messy and they require patience and extra grace. And if you want to create space for kids, you have to have those things too.
Right.
And I think finding people that understand and can communicate well. Every church congregation has somebody in it that kids are naturally drawn to. And if you just stand in the church lobby on a Sunday morning or stand in the worship center quietly and observe, that's actually one of my favorite recruiting tools, and is to just watch natural interactions with people. You can see who children are drawn to. And those people are, I mean, sometimes they're introverts, sometimes they're extroverts, sometimes they're loud, sometimes they're quiet. And they're all different in your community, but those people are magnetic to children. And there is something in them that they listen longer. They linger on their words. They make those kids feel important and valued, and like what they have to say matters. And those are the kind of people that you want to gather together to build your kids ministry.
And you can equip them from there.
That's right. Because those natural abilities that God has gifted them with, those are real hard to teach.
Right.
But if they're magnetic to children, the rest can be taught. You can teach someone how to teach God's word. You can inform them and shepherd them and mentor them. But that magnetism is really, really valuable.
And it used to be that you could show up in any classroom, and because you are the teacher, because you are the leader, that you would naturally have the children's respect and attention. And I mean, I wish that were the case. Don't get me wrong. I like that.
Yes.
but the truth is, they really they cannot learn from you or listen to you or respect you until they know that you care about them.
Yes.
Like, I really, really believe that. And so you need to do the work of learning their names and seeing them and having conversations.
Yeah. But
As your headphones
she's
are falling
losing
off.
her headphones.
I'm really sorry.
But
no, you're fine.
That's such a simple and effective tool, though, knowing someone's name. And you think about any space in your life, if someone calls you, hey, you, you're kind of mentally checked out. And if you walk through the door and someone says, hey, Zack, how are you? You feel known and valued immediately. And
I remember when I actually went to a church, they put me my first Sunday, they put me with the kids. I mean, that was my job, but they put me in the gym so far away on the other side of the building with, I think there were like 35 kids in there. Well, there were no other leaders, which isn't even safe church policy, friends. If you don't have one, you should have one.
You should, absolutely.
So it was not even safe, but they had these name tags. Well, they thought it was funny. They switched all their name tags.
Oh no.
But one of my superpowers, especially when I was younger, is I had a great memory. And so I remember, I'm like, oh, that's not your name. And I had learned their names. But it was really hard that day. But it's a part of like, you really need, that was my first lesson in you need to know their name, and not just to like call them out for discipline, but because it's like, oh, she knows me. She heard, she listened to mine, she knows me. And also I can't get away with stuff. So I just think that matters.
We attended a church for a while that my kids thought their kids ministry was great. And we walked in the door one Sunday morning, and their lead person looked at my daughter, who had on a billboard size name tag, and said, hey, you. And as a mom, I was like, nope. No, my kids, it did. It did. I mean, it's like, I'm just being really transparent. As a mom, I was like, we're done here.
Right.
We've been here for months and you still don't know her name. And you looked her in the eye, like but on the flip side of that, how valuable it is to walk into a space and you think about going somewhere new as a family, and introductions always feel overwhelming, especially for children. And so if you come back, if you as a family make a choice to go back to a church for a second time, and you walk through the door with no name tag, and a leader addresses your child by name, that is incredibly significant. Incredibly.
I think there's, Kim started to say, like, if you care about kids, you actually need to make space, all kinds of space, physical space. But at the same time, to a lot of churches have kids in the basement or in a gym far away, or like, so you wouldn't even know that you have kids because they're never ever around. And so how do you make space for not just for kids to come in for like a performance sometimes, which is, I'm here for that too. But how do we actually help to teach them that they're a part of this thing that's happening in the main sanctuary, right? And that's for several reasons. But one of them is because kids will leave if they never are inside a main sanctuary. big church.
Right.
Yeah.
If they're never in there until it's time for them, like when they leave 6th grade or they leave 5th grade, whenever it is that they promote, and then all of a sudden that's their main worship space,
Yeah.
and they don't know the songs,
Yep.
they don't know the people,
Yep.
they don't know the liturgies and the
Yeah,
worship
the
order.
rhythms
They're
and
like,
the
this is not my
routines, yeah.
church.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know this. And we want them to know that they are a part of the whole church,
Yep.
not just that we have really great stuff happening for kids.
Right.
Like both matter. We need to
Yes.
have really great stuff happening for
Right.
kids.
100%.
But I want them so badly to know that they're part of the body,
Yeah. Well, that's
not later.
intergenerational worship
Right.
is such an incredible tool in helping families and the church body
Right.
to rally around that exposure. Like it's simple. It's simple but effective.
And I think that's one of the things that is going to help continue this whole
Yes.
passing the torch idea.
Yeah.
Is like, if we're constantly just putting the old people in the sanctuary and the kids in the
Right.
gym, you know, and they're never
Right.
mingling, some of these people don't even know that we have kids in our church.
Right.
And the reality is they're the future of it, and we
Yeah.
need to invest into them.
I think even just simple things like changing your verbiage, like adult worship.
Right.
It could just be
Worship.
Right. Right.
And we have multiple pulpits.
Right.
That's part of the, like when I preach on Sunday mornings, that, you know, if you're a licensed minister in the church, in the Church of the Nazarene, they always ask you how many times you preach.
Yeah.
That was always a funny question for me, because I'm like, I preach every time except for 2 Sundays a year
Yeah.
for my vacation. I
Right.
preach every week. They're like, and one time one of them said, they're like, we mean in big church. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I understand what
Yeah.
the ask is, but
Yep.
if we do the same kind of
Yes.
exegetical work
Right.
and study and
Yes.
preparation and
Yes.
communication to preach to all ages. So
Right.
to use, like, to say, hey, on Churches Sunday, we have multiple pulpits happening
Yep.
in
Right.
children's space and in the youth space and
Yep.
in the adults. So I think helping people to understand it's not babysitting.
Right.
It's not, it is actually like we're having church too, we're worshiping. And that's, I think that's important.
It's just age appropriate. Right. Yeah. I used to get the question all the time, like, do you work here?
Right.
Yeah, I do.
Actually.
And then like what?
Very hard.
Right, no doubt. But then the follow up would always be like, well, so what do you do with like the rest of your week?
Oh my gosh, it's my least favorite question of all time. I get it in worship ministry
design
weekly.
Right.
What do you even do?
Right.
Just sit in my office and play guitar.
Yep.
It's fine.
It's fine. Play games with children all day long. No,
great.
no,
So
not
much
at
more
all.
than that.
But so much is administrative that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that. Same
100%.
for all worship
Right.
experiences.
100%. Well, all right. Well, last question. And so the last question is, I just want you to share one quick story of one of your favorite moments that you had in children's ministry. And while you're thinking about it, I'll share mine. It came from Newark Naz.
Okay.
So I was always part of the worship team. There's just kind of, the musician, young drummer, whatever, go do your thing. Well, there was a season where I was helping out with the kids ministry, and there was a young man named Justice. And Justice, what, do you remember Justice? No. So Justice had, a lot of physical and mental stuff going on. I don't know the proper terminology, and I don't want to offend anybody. Let's just say some people would look at him as a difficult case. And he had a really hard time connecting with adults.
Yeah.
He was a flight risk. He was always a runner.
Yeah.
And there was one Sunday I was down there, and I don't know who thought it was a good idea that they're like, oh, let's just put Zack with Justice. It'll be fine. And I'm not like a kid person, I'm kind of rough looking sometimes, and I'm not always like the most calm presence in the world. And so I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea, but we'll check it out. And I don't know what it was, but Justice and I had this connection that I still can't explain, but there was something so beautiful about that first Sunday where he and I were just sitting, and he started kind of far away, and then scooted a little closer. By the end of it, he was in my lap, and I'm like, okay, this was a freak accident. The next Sunday, he came sprinting through the lobby to grab onto my leg. It would not let go of my leg. And his mom came up to me and was just bawling, saying how impactful it was that he finally found somebody at the church that he felt comfortable enough with to just sit. Yeah. And it changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Like, it changed my view on children's ministry for eternity.
Yeah.
It was so powerful. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
And it
be
was
to God.
That's right. And it's just the gift of your presence. Nobody trained you for that.
No.
Nobody equipped you for
Trust
that.
me, I was not trained.
Right.
I had no qualifications.
But I think that circles back to like what we were talking
Right.
about in the beginning.
Right.
You come to the altar with what you have.
Yep. God will do the rest.
That's right.
God does the rest.
That's right.
I love it. All right, who's got one?
You want to go? I know.
Decades of experience.
We're
Tell
old.
me one story.
Right. We're
That's
old.
like 24 years of experience.
I know.
And
I know.
my favorite moment.
Yeah.
I will not tell one story. I'll list a few things. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think it's every time we get to baptize children because they can actually speak about their encounter with Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorites. For me, actually, I was sharing last night. I'll tell this. So I've been at a church for 19 years, and I recognize how rare that is,
Yeah.
and also the gift that it is.
Yes.
And so, looking back and seeing Longview to get to see children that were a part of ministry,
Yeah.
that I got to shepherd from the time they've been little.
Stop. That's what I was going to say too.
Really?
Yeah.
And I like to see them be adults and
Yes.
actually serving or realizing their call. Like I remember, like that's part of which is maybe a later conversation, but so that was me. I'm the one who said you need to go be with Justice, but it's because
No, it was you, wasn't it?
it was. I mean, that's a part of like, it was because I know you. And
Yeah.
it's a part of seeing people. Like
Yeah.
it's what we're talking about. It's not the training. It's like learning to see people and helping them to like realize something new about a gift that God's given them.
Yes.
And whether that is a 4th or 5th grader that I'm like, hey, can you go learn tech and help us in the back of the room with that?
Yeah.
Or giving one of them a job or helping them to like, as teenagers, hey, I've seen this in you since you were a child. I'd love for you to come serve. Like to see those things come to life in them. I think that for me is actually the best part of what this has been.
That's huge. That's huge. I love it.
It is. I think that when we're in the camp environment, we see that so much. We have a team that almost all of our staff team that serves with us are, all of the young adults grew up in this ministry.
They came to camp here.
And in our local ministries with us. And it's fine.
Yeah.
It is fine.
Some
It's
of them
awesome.
have a call to ministry. Like they're going to be pastors.
Yep. And we've gotten to be part of that journey.
Yeah.
And God is so good. And ministry is hard.
Oh, yeah.
And it's lonely. And it's tough. Mentally, emotionally, physically. But God's faithfulness in those, like we've been talking this week about his story in the history in the Bible, and that God gives us courage. And I think that's our verse this week is Joshua 1:9, and that is above all in the Bible. That has been my life verse that the Lord has consistently challenged me. Be strong. Be strong. And there's a season in my life where I feel like as women, we were told not to be strong in the church and not to be strong in who we are. And I feel like that's something that the Lord has brought back to me over and over. Be strong and courageous, Kim. Do not be afraid because he's going to be with me. He's going to walk the journey. And that's the part when I look back over my shoulder and I see the goodness of God in that. I see the faithfulness. I see the fruit. And I think as a young pastor, it was hard to see the fruit.
Yeah.
We just see cute kids when we first start.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're like drawn. We see that they are important.
Yeah. And we love them and we want to do life with them. And we, want to make them laugh and encourage them.
The surprise is to be with them long enough to go,
yes.
Oh my word. Look, we get to see
the fruit
of,
yes. And the fruit is good.
Yeah.
And it is, that is our land flowing with milk and honey, right? Like that's the good stuff. That's the proof. And
they don't get here though without And it goes back to why this matters for the church universal is because they don't get to be 24-year-olds who are here serving at camp and
took a week off their full-time jobs where they're, making a difference in an impact in that community
or a full-time call to ministry. Like that doesn't happen unless we're planting the seeds and not in a daycare and not in those things there's a time and space, but for teaching them to worship and teaching them to have a relationship with Jesus and helping them to get into the word and to learn the stories. And we don't get to the fruit unless we plant the seeds.
That's
and so
100%.
It's all important.
It is.
100%.
Children's ministry is the richest harvest field in the kingdom.
Yeah. I love it. Well, ladies, that's our conversation, and it was so good.
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad you guys took time out of
us.
your very, very busy week to come and be a part of this.
Let's hope the rain stops.
Yes, pray for us right now, even though you won't see this until after the rain. But hey, we just want to say thank you guys so much for joining us here on the podcast. And I think, something amazing and a takeaway that I have is like, God will equip us. Like he's calling all of us to do something, right? Whether that's in kids ministry, whatever that looks like in your area of service, the Lord calls you and he will give you what you need. And so for that, if you're interested in serving at Shepherd or at your local church, wherever you're at, for here at Shepherd, if you're interested, please reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you and figure out a way you can serve at podcast@shepnaz.org. We love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.